Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and friends. Do you define circumstances or do they define you? Well, for a while, they defined me. I was born and raised in Colorado. I was an Army brat. After I graduated high school, I created a blueprint for where I wanted my life to go. By the time I turned 25, I would be married. I would have 2 children, a house with a picket fence, a dog, and a Mercedes in the driveway. I was well on my way to fulfilling that blueprint. I obtained a job as a stockbroker at Charles Schwab in Denver, start learning the trade, and began saving and investing. And my other plan was to become a millionaire by the time I was 50. I was on my way. That was until circumstances stepped in. My husband at the time and I were having problems, and we were going to counseling, and it was suggested that we needed a new start. So I asked for a transfer and we moved to Phoenix, Arizona. Needless to say, that didn't work. So I went and filed for divorce. After I filed for divorce, I talked to an attorney and they told me, well, you know you have to split everything. At the time I was writing with the intention on writing a book, but I knew had I finished the book and I made money on the book, he would get half of my proceeds. I was not going to let that happen. So, with 2 children in tow, $5 in my pocket, and 3 Lunchables, I got on Greyhound and I headed to San Diego. Where I was going, I didn't know. I had some friends there. I figured, okay, I can sleep on a few couches until I get myself together. Got to San Diego, things turned out good. I obtained employment right away. Things were looking good. I got a hold of circumstances and told him no way, no how. That was until my mother, who lived in Denver, was diagnosed with brain cancer. I found myself flying back and forth to Denver from San Diego, trying to take care of her and her affairs while working and taking care of 2 children. When I got to Denver the first time, I stayed for 30 days. I was under a lot of stress, decided I would take a break because she had 10 brothers and sisters, another sibling and a mother alive that could help her while I was away. As soon as I returned to San Diego, I had heart attack number 1. I was under a lot of stress. After I got clearance from the hospital to get back to life, I went back to Denver to take care of my mom. She was given 11 months to live. She died 11 months later. I went back to San Diego and thought, okay, that's behind me. I can move on. Circumstances wasn't having that either. I had heart attack number 2. After heart attack number 2, I figured, okay, circumstances, you are not going to get the best of me. I have to take control here. So, taking care of my children and realizing that the cost of living was too expensive in San Diego, I moved to Texas with a family member. Cost of living in Dallas is pretty good. Housing is pretty good. So I started to get back on my feet. I was punching circumstances again. As I was punching circumstances and getting back on my feet and getting back on my blueprint, everything seemed to go so well. Everything fell into place. I was feeling great. Till one day, I was at work. I was sitting in the back of the office. I was sipping on one of my favorites that I have every single day, the Sonic Strawberry Fruit Slush. I had gotten through half of it. I've done the same thing every day, 5 days a week while I was at this job. Halfway through, I fainted. They called the ambulance. Come to find out, I had diabetes. Circumstances kept saying, okay, you're not going to win. I'm going to win. I'm in control here. Unbelievably not. I told circumstances, I don't think so. 6 months later, I published my first book, My Daughter's Keeper. After I did that, I went on, got back on my feet, started back on my blueprint, and everything was going fine. Came back around, 6 months later, I released my next book, which was Circumstances. I was doing so well. 6 months was in my favor because 6 months later, I bought my first house on my own. I was raising 2 teenagers. I was doing great. That was until Circumstances delivered me a stroke in 2006. Circumstances was determined to get me. I was determined not to let circumstances get me. So, after a regimen given to me by my doctor, I followed the plan. I started taking my meds. I gained 80 pounds, but that was okay. Everyone told me, you look okay, you were too skinny anyway. So, I'm working on my plan, and so far, Circumstances has been treating me well. I met a great man at a conference, which is how I ended up here in Greensboro, North Carolina. I published my 3rd book, which is Crimes of Passion, which is presented by my company, Literary Wonders. I have 2 more coming out this year and 3 next year. So far, I haven't seen or heard from Circumstances. So today, I come to you and ask you, are you going to define your circumstances, or are you going to let circumstances define you? Sir, Toastmaster.